Welcome to the Animation Academy. We are currently developing content for daily review on Patreon. You can find us on patreon.com/the Animation Academy. And this is something that is a first for us because we're going to be recording a lesson, an actual character design lesson with a student of mine. His name is David. So I first of all want to thank David for allowing me to record our session together and for featuring his work. So we're going to get started right now. And here we go. And what's happening right now is this is David's initial concept sketches for a character that he's going to be getting into. And this character is called Thog. Okay, Thog the Viking. I think it's a good idea. I think I would have a good time if I was working on this in the studio. I would have a good time with it. So this is David's initial concept sketches, and the first thing that I noticed when I looked at his sketches and I looked at the name of the character was that Thog struck me as goth backwards. Okay, so immediately had that kind of relevance to it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at some of these initial character design sketches we're doing, and I'm going to be putting notes on top of his drawings. Okay, and my focus is always about this, students. My focus is always about fundamentals. That's where it's all at, and that's what I stress with everybody. So as far as I can see from looking at David's initial sketches, this is some basic advice that I'd like to give, to David and to anybody else who would be endeavoring in this, basically, approaching character design in this manner. And that is, first of all, I notice a few things here. I noticed like I get the impression, I would have to say, like on a technical level, okay, always have a sharp pencil. I highly recommend working with a sharp pencil because that gives you more control. Okay, so make sure your pencil is sharp. I can see in certain areas of David's sketches that it looks like the pencil is kind of blunt. So I would say work with a sharpened pencil because it gives you control. You have more control with it if you work with a sharpened pencil. The other thing is, as far as fundamentals are concerned, when it comes to characters, I can see that David in some of these sketches, he's taken the right approach, but in some of these other ones, I would like to see more emphasis on like the basic fundamental aspects of character design. And that wouldn't be, it would, like right here, you can see, like, for example, the center line going through the body is there. I can see the center line going through the head. I can see the ellipse of the eye line going around this way. These are all very important aspects of character design, but there should be a more concerted attention on the anatomy of the character. Okay, get the anatomy to work first before you start clothing the character. So make sure that all these different aspects of the anatomy are visible and understood. So that would mean like a center line going through the body here. That would mean like showing the bottom of the torso here and showing how all the appendages articulate. And in future videos, I'll be getting into this in more detail. Right now, if you're not really sure what I'm talking about with all these terms, that's okay, because you'll probably figure it out as I continue with my lecture. Okay, you can see right here the cheeks on the character are getting a little bit too pointed. I mean, I think that softening the cheeks would be a good idea. And right here, if the character is in a 3/4 front view, like what we're seeing here, if the character's head is turning this way, we're going to see a little bit less of the cheek on one side and a little bit more on the other. So let's just kind of like blend that cheek into the side of the face and let the cheek read on this point right here. Now you've added, here's your circle, the circle of the head, which is the skull, which is the initial construction of the character. And I'm going to, we got a second shape added here, so the center line is going to be modified slightly. Okay, and you can already see that the structure of the character is starting to read a little bit better. I'm going to bring this in a little bit more. And also another thing that I want to urge you to consider is take your time when you're in characters, when you're drawing. Speed comes with experience, and it's more important to take your time and to develop to focus on the quality of your sketches, instead of how fast you can do them. Okay, and spend a little bit more time. If you tend to like work really quick, and then you leave your drawing too soon, I would just say just take a couple of minutes to work it just a little bit more, and you're gonna see a way better result, and your drawing is going to have a sense of completion, and it's going to be something that you can use. You can showcase, and people will enjoy looking at, and the quality will read. So what I'm doing here now is I'm building out the character's anatomy based on David's initial sketch. And another thing David's doing right here with the arms, which is a very good little technique, and that's called straights versus curves. Here's your straight on the inside. Excuse me, we're showing a little bit of anatomy on the outside, and I'm articulating at the elbow, and that gives the character's anatomy just a little bit more sophistication. We're not doing it on the legs here, and that's a choice that he makes. You don't necessarily have to do it all the time, but if he did, if he did use the straights versus curves, David, this is how your leg would look if you wanted to make it relative to what is happening with the arm. Okay, so now everything is starting to come together with the anatomy of the character. I would say build out the hands a little bit more. By all means, do not neglect the hands. I develop the shape of the hands and then articulate the thumb and the fingers off of that. Okay, and looks like the fingers are spread, which means that it's showing surprise. Okay, and I work that off of a central shape. So there we go. All right, now we're going to fit the helmet of the character a little bit more so that it makes a little bit more dimensional sense. There we go. And I'm just you're drawing through, you want to show how the ellipse of that helmet is sitting on that character's head. So now it's sitting there, it's making a nice, let's do a little bit of erasing. Hold on 1 second, I got to increase the size of my eraser. Come on. Oops, there we go. That's not cooperating. Well, let's do it the old-fashioned way. There we go. Well, guys, we've got a little bit of a problem here with the eraser. It looks like I'm getting a hiccup with, oh, I see what's going on. Yeah. We do have, I had previously used the eraser, and it was like way too big. There we go. Okay. I'm using an older version of Photoshop because I like it. I have a more recent version, but this one has a few things that has a few features that I'm partial to. So there we go. Okay. And now now that we got the anatomy established, now we can go and we can start establishing and working out the design elements. All right. And one of the things that I'm going to be starting with that I notice is, let's go ahead and just put the ears up there. Let's get the ears. That's it. And now we're going to go and we're going to build out the hair. And the hair has form. The hair has mass. Okay. And this is particularly important if the character is going to be like modeled using, like a CG software, like Maya or ZBrush or something like that. When you're designing for CG and even 2D, when you're designing for 3D and 2D, you want to keep that in mind, because girth is an important aspect of the modern approach to, contemporary character design. So let's bring the hair down this way. And I'm not sure if these are like pigtails or not. Let's just bring it down. Let's fill in this shape between the arms and the body there. And what we're doing now is we're enhancing the overlaps. Okay, so overlaps are a very positive thing. Having overlapping design elements is a positive thing because it helps with depth of field, and it just helps with the design overall. Okay, now we're David is looking to have like small eyes, so I'm going to just round them off a little bit more. Okay, establish the pupil, and I'm going to bring down the nose just a little bit off of that eye line because that's a clumsy. It's kind of clumsy when you're animating the character. And see right here, see how the nose, how the mustache is kind of like coming off of the side of the nose. Let's bring that mustache down below the nose, this way. And again, it has more structure. Okay, it has like the form. That's, you know, like the shapes are relating to each other a little bit better. And I have to be very careful here because I'm trying to avoid tangents in my design. For example, if you don't know what a tangent is, see this line coming down this way, and it's meeting at this point right here, and at this lock of hair is meeting at that same point. That's a tangent. And what you want, it's a compositional tangent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up slightly, so I avoid that point, and it just makes it a better composition and a better drawing overall. And you want to draw, you know, you want to draw all your ellipses. You want to draw them straight around as if the character is transparent and it's made out of, you know, like it's made out of glass. You want to think this way, draw this way. One more thing also is you see the ellipse right here, that ellipse right there. You're looking up and up, you know, the character's legs, and that's from our vantage point here. That's really not where we're looking. You have to reverse this ellipse. You have to go this way with it, and now it's making a lot more dimensional sense. And now we're having a character that has some structure to it. It's pretty good. You know, all I did was take what David had and just enhance it a little bit, just work out the kinks and just build on top of that. It looks great. Okay, I mean, it's the beginning. It's like the first thing. It's your first venture into this character. It's not going to be, may not necessarily be the character that you're going to wind up with, but it's a beginning, and you can go from here. Okay, now so you can see what I'm doing better. I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to let's get the white, straight white, and we're going to go here, and I'm going to make this layer. I'm going to reduce it down to about, well, let's say about 50% opacity, and then you're going to be able to get a better look at what I just did. All right, so there you go. Okay, you know, we can see a little bit of David's original sketch, and you can see what I did on top of that. And then this is something, I mean, I really discourage my students from doing this unless, you know, I really discourage them from doing this unless unless all the different aspects of their composition are in place. Okay, like it's kind of like this is the reward. You know, this is your reward for doing a good job with your initial design. Okay, and that is you can enhance the dimensionality of your design and do a few little changes here. You can enhance the dimensionality by giving it a shadow layer, and that's what I'm going to do next. This is a lot of fun. I like to use this technique because it really kind of brings the character's form, you know, to just really enhances, you know, what's going on with all the shapes. Okay, so I'm going to create another layer here. I'm going to turn that down. Wait a minute, sorry about that. Let's do this again. Okay, and I'm going to turn that down to about, let's say 30% opacity. I'm going to go to black, and I'm going to widen my brush, and watch this. Okay, now I'm going to be putting a light source, like an imaginary light source on my character. There we go. And I'm going to start to drop in some shadows, you know, shadows that would be falling like on the downside of the south side of the character. Okay, like some overlapping shadows, stuff like that. You know, like a shadow from the hair right here. You don't necessarily have to get carried away with this. All you have to do is just a few little shadows is all you need to do. And like maybe like a shadow, because his head is so big, it would be like putting a cast shadow on top of the character's body. We put one right here, maybe one right there, maybe a little bit one right there. Okay, and now we got a really nice looking, and you can even do this, you can even put like a contact shadow on the ground like that. And now the character's really looking good. You know, now he can pitch this to his client or, you know, his supervisor or whatever, you know, the case may be. Or if he's working on his own, you know, he's got like, he can show it to maybe some friends or colleagues, or just maybe get some input from his fans, see what they think. And yeah, it's going to make a good impression. Okay, there you go. Okay, this is what we had. This is what we had. Okay, and this is what we wound up with. All right, so it's same character, just everything is coming together. Now, you're seeing the emphasis, you're seeing the ellipse of the eye line. Let's go over here. Let's go back over here. You're seeing the ellipse, you're seeing all these issues that deal with the fundamental construction of the character, okay? Like the eye line, the center line, points of articulation, so on and so forth, all right? Those aren't important because they are important in the construction process, but they're not important when it comes to the final version of the character, because those are lines that we're not going to see. They're not part of the final final version of the character as far as like what you're going to be seeing visibly. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to go over, and I'm going to go over this. And now what I'm doing is I'm basically kind of like doing a cleanup right now. Okay, here we go, just clean, and I'm going over the lines that I want the viewer to see. And if the viewer is not going to see those construction lines, if the construction lines are not part of the design, like if he doesn't have a stripe going down, like let's say his costume, then it's not going to be emphasized. See, and now the character's coming out. We're starting to see the actual character, and the reason why that construction, because of the time that you spent with the construction, we got ourselves a very good looking character. Everything is solid. See that? Everything is falling together, and look at how good that character is looking, okay? You could go with this character, you could start to have a lot of fun with it, and you know, people get very excited about what they're seeing. They get into, yeah, who is this? You know, tell us about this character. You know, what's he going to do? What's his world about? You know, what's his personality like? Got a little bit, overdid a little bit too much there. Like, it's a little, just push that back slightly. A little, sometimes those slight little subtle nuances getting on top of them makes a big difference. Okay, so we can see the character's anatomy through the character's, well, let's call it a tunic. And there we go. And now we're seeing it's turning out to be a terrific looking character. We'd probably modify it a little bit. I'd probably, you know, like kind of triangulate the legs a little bit more so they kind of like maybe meet in the center of the torso a little bit more, you know, just little things like here and there. And even if this wasn't your main character, even if this didn't turn out to be Thog, okay, it could still turn out to be a really good incidental character, okay, or a supporting character or something like that. It's really, yeah. There we go. Okay. All right. Congratulations, David. You did a great job with this. It's a good idea. Really enjoyed working on it. And if you have a good character, that's a lot of fun. That's what happens when other people start working on it. They start enjoying, you know, like enjoying, you know, drawing it too. Okay. So if I was to be, you know, like approached about working on this project and I saw what David was doing, I'll say, yeah, it looks great. Looks great. I'd like to, you know, like to spend some time with this. Oops, wrong layer. On here. Let's try this. There we go. A little bit more of a shadow on the side of the face there. Maybe a little bit more right here in the helmet. There you go. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these layers here. I'm going to take these layers, these right here. I'm going to merge them. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to say before, after, before, after. It's the same thing. It's the same character. I just modified it slightly and just pulled it into the realm of fundamentals. Okay, so there you go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to initial this. And I'm going to date it. Today is January 6th, 2022. And I'm going to, David's going to do a screen capture of that. And he'll save that for his, he can save that for his, as a reference file. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to work, you know, I'm going to work with David on a few other things. And yeah, but I really want to thank him for allowing me to work on his character and to basically share the lesson with you. Okay. So there you go. This is going to be posted on YouTube. First place it's going to go is to the Academy's Patreon. So if you want to see more videos like this, you know where to go. Okay, very, very, very affordable, very affordable. Both lessons in video and graphics. Have a huge archive of stuff that I'm going to be adding to the Academy's Patreon. So there you go. Thanks again, David. Okay, keep creating, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.